Now I call upon the moderator, the panelist 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲, who is an academic support consultant of Trinity College, London. Ma'am, we welcome you on the stage. Yes. Now we have Mohammad Azhar, who is a founder principal Knowledge for Knowledge Academy School, Chennai. We welcome you, sir. We have Maheshwari Chowgle, who is a principal of 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗲 Public School and Defense Academy, Kolhapur. We have Chirag Agarwal, founder director, Early Inventions Chain of Preschools, Bengaluru. We also welcome Manjula Veeranna, who is a founder and CEO of International Institute for Cognitive and Learning Sciences, Bengaluru. We have Dr. Malini Mandanna Datta, who is a principal of Brookline National Public School, Bengaluru. And again, we welcome Shanti Menon, who is a principal, the Dean's Academy of Bengaluru. It's a privilege to have you all with us today for the panel discussion. And I think we all have 2 minutes to talk, and we are all of us, 7 of them.
So we have a very interesting topic today, and very close to our hearts in Trinity. It's all about learning for life, language, communicative competencies, and skills. It is the essence of Trinity. So therefore, we are very happy to be convening this one. So let's start today's discussion. Welcome all of you. I'm sorry I've not been introduced to you before, so I'll just pass the mic around and can you just introduce yourselves? Thank you.
Myself, Ramya Suhas Udupa. I'm from Vidya Sporty School, principal. Thank you.
Namaste. Myself, Ms. Maheshwari, and I'm heading 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗲 Public School from Kolhapur, Maharashtra.
Good evening. I'm Shanti Menon. I'm the founder principal of the Dean's Academy, Whitefield campus.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chirag Agarwal, founder director, Early Inventions Chain of Schools. We are a chain of preschools, and very soon you'll find us in the K-12 segment as well. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohammad Azhar. I'm from Chennai. I run a school in the name of Knowledge Academy School, which is an 𝗖𝗍𝗶𝗸𝗲 school.
Hello, good evening to everyone. I'm Manjula, founder and CEO of International Institute for Cognitive and Learning Sciences. We are into professional development, especially for the teaching community. Thank you so much.
Blessed and happy evening all. This is Dr. Malini Mandanna Datta, the principal for Brookline National Public School, Jayanagar branch. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Okay, so what we see on this slide is a survey that was conducted by Vox, that is VOX. And what you see on the bottom row is a number of years that we have spent right from 1950 to 2010 in education. And on the y-axis, what you see is the number of ages, right? The age that we spend in school. So right from 0 to 12 years, okay? And it is spread over primary to the tertiary years, that is primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now what you see is 1950 till today, till 2010, it has grown the number of years that we've spent in school, or rather in education, all of it, school, college, and further education. The question here is that, has education made us more literate? That is the question. And have we been able to teach altruism? And can altruism be taught? So my first question would be, are we as a people of the world more commonly aligned and in agreement, or are we disagreeing, or on even the most basic issues? Yes, that is the very first question, which is extremely important before we start this entire discussion. And I'd like to pose this question to Dr. Malini. Yes.
Yes, nice question. So here, first thing I would like to bring into everybody's notice is, when we are talking about education literacy, we can remember that Renaissance, 1600, the Renaissance came in, and that started and spelled out the era of enlightenment. So when we are talking about education literacy, we are talking about a logical perspective. We are giving them a thinking and a scientific bend, a logical aspect of everything. And here Karl Popper, I would like to suggest his name here, where he has come out with the theory of falsification, where he started saying that no, with education, we can make these people think what actually is logically proven, scientifically approved, and knowledge-wise it is implemented also. Now when we are talking about informations and the categories where it should touch upon, then it gives better deep understanding, the relevant information and the deep understanding comes from this education literacy. Now when we are talking about education literacy, again I would like to take two British scholars here, Fisher and Disbell, where they say that irrespective of physical, psychological, digital, cultural, socio-economic, all these aspects where they both influence each other, both biologically and functionally, are better brought out and is understood through this education literacy. And the best part is how the mindset, the change of mindset. Now when we are talking about education literacy, we can understand that with the change of the mindset, it brings in the skill, the values, the education, the standpoint view, and all that practical approaches and strategies that makes the thing happen, rather than believing what the orthodox and conservative world has previously. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was very well answered. I have another question which we didn't address. Can we teach altruism in schools? So is there someone who would like to answer? It's open to all of you. Can it be taught? Can we teach altruism in schools?
Absolutely, why not? Because today we have to move from the rote learning and in knowledge imparting to students. I don't think school is a place anymore for children to just pick up knowledge. It's a space for them to pick up a lot more values, a lot more skills that they require in the future. So by and by, as we are working with students, our whole system has moved out from that whole rote learning mode into focusing on bringing these kind of skills into the basic pedagogy that we execute in classrooms. So I think it's absolutely possible to bring it into, and we should start there, because that's when we build a kind of community or a population which goes beyond just knowledge building.
That's right, and they become more empathetic, I think, when they are in school, and therefore become better global citizens, right? Okay, moving on. Okay. Can you go to the next slide, please? This is not working. Oh, yeah, it is, okay. All right. Oops. Okay, coming to the next slide. Talking about global competence. Okay, now, the 𝗙cie 2018, they came up with this theory that a student in school, we need to base knowledge, the learning on 4 of these broad categories, which is knowledge, values, skills, and attitude, right? And only then can we make global citizens. So my question is, what should we be doing in order to create more global citizens in schools? And schools, it's important because that is where the foundation happens. Instead of waiting for them to actually go into college and then universities and learn to be global citizens. How should we start doing this in school? And I'd like to pose this question to anyone who'd like to, probably Dr. Malini again would like to, yes?
So to understand this, thank you once again for this question. It's a beautiful one because India is lacking behind. So we need to understand that what India needs to do. And to understand this, we need to understand little the background of it. So OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, they have brought out the Future of Education and Skills Project 2030, where they had posed two types of questions for all of us to understand. So the first is, what education, skills, attitude, and values are needed for our students to strive in the future? And secondly, how we are going to attain that? How this instructional system will work so that our students can attain this. And for our information, we have almost 3,814 variety of culture that exist in this world today. So when we are talking about PISA, I would like to remind you all that India had also participated late in 2009, and India's rank was 72nd, where we scored only 332, and the students of Tamil Nadu had participated in that. So now when we are talking about the global competence, and the 4 pillars of this global competence education is education, skill, values, and attitude. The first thing what we need to see is how the education is imparted in our classrooms. What is the curriculum? What is the pedagogy? How the skill is getting inculcated? What is the amalgamation process that we are adopting? So it is not only the teachers, those who will be involved in making it happen, but it is from the very grassroots level where the students also need to participate, because in this 21st century, we all know that our students are into the reactions and challenges and opportunities of a world which is ever-changing through all aspects, politically, socially, economically, demographically, culturally, and environmentally as well. So they are not only posed to threats and challenges and opportunities, but they also need to learn that how they are going to strive. So that is here the thinking starts, the innovative action starts, that how in our classrooms we are going to take up this attitude, because it is no more a homogeneous cultural sector that prevails, and it is continuing to have that. We are having a heterogeneous society. As I told, 3,814 cultures are there. So we need to see that how our students are not only taking it, adopting it, and facing the challenges, learning to face these challenges, and how the teachers are also helping them to inculcate those challenge-facing skills, adopting them through teaching, through experimental learning, through exposures, through giving them opportunities, and making the lesson plan a little more dynamic, where we can inculcate more of skill-based education, where they are posed by, whenever they are posed to such critical situations, they can completely handle that and can prove to walk towards a global citizenship. Thank you.
I agree with you completely. Experiential learning is, I think, where we are lacking right now, and that is where we need to really develop. Yes? I think ma'am here would like to add a little to that.
Actually, when I am heading in a residential school, so the students, those who are coming to our school, are from the different areas of India. So with that students, respect of each other's culture is more important. So that is the first sign of the global citizen. So being in any corner of the world, the child should respect each other's relation, each other's culture, each other's religion, and then only the perfect citizens we can create. Secondly, they need to respect their local first, where they belongs to. Global, we can understand, but first they should know about the local also. The child should know about the local to global. Then only the proper development will happen. He should be empathetic, he or she, or the student should be empathetic towards each other's emotions. Then only the proper building of their mindset will be happening. So that is the more important for the global citizens, which I feel it.
Okay. So basically the development, from what you all people are saying, is that the development of a child doesn't depend only on the IQ, but the EQ, and now of course on the LQ as well, which is the leadership skills that they require, right? The leadership quotient, okay? Because we definitely require more, better dynamic leaders, and they come from this lot that we are teaching right now. Thank you so much for that. Okay, So we keep talking about hard skills and soft skills. We all have agreed through the day today with all the discussions that we've had that soft skills are way more important, right? You all agree with me? I can see a lot of nods. Soft skills are more important. 85% of soft skills are needed through life and only 15% of hard skills. But are we really spending enough time on soft skills? So this discussion is actually open to all of you. Is there anyone who would like to answer my question? How do we shift the focus to skill development away from pure marks? Right? How many of us, can I ask you to please be a little honest? How many of you got 90 and 90 plus marks in a school? Please do raise your hands if you did. 95, 96, 99 point. Not in our times. We were pretty content with, I think, a 60% or a 65, or we do have some 90 plus. Wow, wonderful. I think a great round of applause for them. But also to all the others who didn't quite get there, but have definitely made it, and I think all thanks to the soft skills.
It depends on the curriculum and
Yes.
on the subject which was there earlier. Now it's different. When it was earlier, it was a completely different curriculum. And even the posing questions was completely different. It was not how, the way comfortable manner it has been made it, like MCQs and case study, and student will be trained up in a different way. Thank you.
The information is at their fingertips, right? So that makes a big difference, which didn't exist. We had to go to the library to find anything at all. All right, yes, please.
So, this development of soft skills in schools can happen through co-scholastic activities and extracurricular activities, and including design thinking process in classrooms. So these three things which will develop soft skills, and how do we can measure is through 360-degree assessment, which NEP is coming up with that. So I feel that that's how we can bring in those skills.
So you're saying that these can be quantified?
Yes, obviously.
Yes?
Yeah, it has to be quantified.
Okay.
And that,
So,
that will develop the portfolio for the child's career. And most of the universities, private universities, coming up with the portfolio. They don't go with marks now.
That's right.
So they're asking the portfolio, what is child interested? What is the evidence for that? And how the child can is he suitable for that course? So that system is coming up. International universities already is implemented. Indian universities is already started implementing.
They have already, yes.
Yeah.
I would like to add to this. So talking about any kind of development, not only soft skills, can happen only with, by following the simple logic of change is the only constant. We as educators, we as teachers, we as parents need to change our mindset, accept new things, and only then change will be possible. So in order to make learning more, in fact, if we even take the example of the COVID situation, how many of us had ever imagined maybe a 3 or a 4-year-old child sitting in front of a laptop screen or a tablet and learning continued? We'd never imagined that. We didn't had never thought about something of this sort to come in, but it did happen. So when we as educators, we as school owners decided to go with the change, is where we could create the change. So that's my small take on development as a subject, and not just soft skills, but any skill. In order to be developed in a child, we need to go ahead, change our mindset, develop our mindset, accept something that's new in the market, and with that, things will definitely fall in place. Thank you.
And mentioning COVID, I think kudos to all you school heads. I think you all did a fantastic job over these 2 years. I mean, even Trinity was part of that. So we learned to kind of, make that change, a big change. And yeah, we've, I think, sailed through, almost there, right? Okay, moving on. 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. Yes. So 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 2018 came up with a report that, and it's a very sad report, that 35% of rural private school students in grade 5 cannot read a basic grade 2 level paragraph. Now this is very sad, however true. So how is language education happening in India right now, and how can it change?
Can I take this
Yes,
question?
please.
Thank you so much. Have you heard about Noam Chomsky? He is one of the leading neuroscientists plus a linguist. He came up with a sentence called, "Colorless green idea sleep furiously." Right? What does it mean? Does it make sense? Or it's totally a nonsense sentence where put together all different kinds of words together, right? How can a colorless green idea sleep furiously? You're speaking about colorless, but still you're mentioning about green, and how can idea sleep furiously, right? But still, when you check from a grammatic perspective, it is an absolute correct sentence. So here what I feel, I have traveled across the country and trained we have associated with more than 500 plus schools, where I feel that teachers teach content without knowing, is it really right, is it really wrong, is she really connecting with certain emotions or not. She's just completing her prose, poetry, assessments and scores and go on. But she's not actually connecting with the child from the neuroscience perspective. This is very important, I feel. At the early stages of life, where especially the different parts in brain, especially the Broca's and the Wernicke's areas, which is responsible for the language production and language comprehension. In the first 3 years or the first 5 years, and again following with the 9 years, where the child is of 9-year-old, when we give that enriched environment, when we create that environment in the school, in the classrooms, then definitely language production will happen, absolutely. Because language and cognitions are just the two faces of the same coin. If you have a profound language ability, definitely the child will have a very good cognitive abilities as well. So as a teachers and as a caretakers, parents and the other stakeholders, we need to create the right opportunities for the students with a very early formative ages. Then the language, that how we learn the mother tongue, similarly the other language can also be learned with ease, with more of comfort, with full of emotions. If we minus emotions, then definitely if the next 100 years of us, also if we learn English in a second language, we will still be struggling. Even a grade 9 teacher I experienced, wherein going with the southern tip of India, in one of the school, a grade 9 teacher was unable to read class 2 textbook of English, CBSE teacher. That was really disheartening. It is unfortunately like all the B.Eds and all the everywhere what we follow, the introduction or silent reading, model reading, loud reading, then interaction, they're just following from the ritualistic pattern, but I'm not sure they're really, if they put their heart and soul, create that environment, then definitely they can teach language in a more beautiful way.
Well,
If
very
I
well
may
said.
add there?
Yes.
For sounding elitist, all right, so it's a misnomer that a teacher of math or a science or social studies teacher doesn't need to have good language skills. So a maths teacher believes that I'm good at what I do. And so it doesn't matter if my language skills are not good. And so then the overall effect on the child is completely lost. The child needs to be immersed in the right communicative language by every teacher who comes in touch with that child. That's the only way they're going to be picking up the language. So this doesn't, of course, have to be restricted to just English. If you're talking of vernacular schools, even there, the teacher has to speak every teacher has to be speaking the right language and be very mindful of how they speak. So that, and every question now, typically when you read, as heads of institutions, when you read question papers, half the time, of course, that's not a subject that you might know, but what are you looking at? Is the question formatted right? Is it framed well?
Correct, yes.
Right? Now, that's a lacuna that we find in the teachers themselves, and that should be something we should all focus on.
Right.
And I think literacy will improve by, leaps and bounds if we start working on it on that.
I think the magic word here is communicative. So we need to make language or English more communicative, and it's not just about reading or writing, it's about speaking and listening. And I've always asked this question, do you all agree that speaking is a art, right, audience? Speaking is an art, then what is listening? It's a, any more guesses? If speaking is an art, then what is listening?
Skill.
It's a fine art. Okay, and unfortunately, we don't train our children in this very fine art. So listening and speaking, I think, are the foremost. I mean, we keep talking about formational years and formative years, and you know how the foundation needs to be. But first, they need to learn how to listen and speak. And then, of course, we come to reading. Sir, I'd like to add something?
Yeah, adding to that, what in current schools, how we teach language is it's not the way we teach a language. We use oral translation method or grammar translation method, rather being communicative language method.
Yes.
So that is also worked fine for that time. But being exposure to information, so that is something which has to be completely transformed.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two is, now what I have seen in my experience is, a child is able to tell the grammar rule, what is meant by verb. But when it comes to functional grammar, he's gone. And as Madam said, I also have observed teachers, the concept of physics in English, they are able to teach. But when I ask them to explain in English, gone. And I wonder how they teach this to students. No matter whichever language is that. Whether it is in English, Tamil or Telugu or Kannada, whichever it is. But that's how it has been happened. But right now, seeing the scenario, we have to transform to communicative language method, where we don't teach grammar as separate, rather we bring utilization, functional English, functional grammar in place, and master the listening, speaking skills.
Yes, and like she said, all the subjects should be
Yeah,
able to
all the
apply.
subjects, all the languages should be taught like that.
I'm sure we have a lot to add, but in the interest of time, we'll move on to the next question. So we have here the overall proficiency of communicative competence, okay? Now, CEFR has come up with these general competencies, communicative language competencies, communicative language activities, communicative language strategies. Now, interestingly, they all start with knowledge, know-how skills, existential competence, ability to learn. Surprisingly, what you see towards the end, what has been added is mediation. Now, mediation or convincing skills, this was added way later. Do you agree that mediation skills are important for students and we need to train them in mediation skills or negotiation skills, what we say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would anyone else, anyone else would like to take this, sir? Would you want to? Yes.
Absolutely, that is the higher level of language learning.
Right.
And becoming the skills to be productive skills. I completely agree with that. Mm-hmm. That is very critical at the grade 8, 9 by itself.
So negotiation is no more a luxury.
Yeah.
It isn't, right? It's a necessity.
Absolutely.
Talking of negotiation as negotiation, it's more as presentation of oneself and
Yes.
one's convictions.
Yes.
So that's
Convincing
something
skills.
Yes, that's
Yes.
what you're talking about
Yeah.
when you're talking
And
about
that's what we
negotiation.
all are doing on an everyday basis, right? Convincing. Okay, moving on. I think this is the last slide we have for the day. Okay, the washback. The most important, that's why we are all here, right? The essence of education is, after all, the washback as to if we've taught everything and we've taught it correctly. Okay, so talking about a washback, how are our tests aiding in developing skills for life? Are we testing correctly? Are they aiding them for life, or is it just for this one grade? They give their test, they get their marks, move on, go to the next grade, so on and so forth. Are we really able to aid the testing for life? Ma'am, would you like to answer this question?
I just wanted to talk in a positive manner because NEP has been totally left out in all this session. I just wanted to share with you all the data for the B.Ed teachers. It has been completely changed to ITEP. That is Integrated Teacher Education Program. It has been changed to 4 years. I think all of you are known about that. And before, it has to be completed in 10 years. Now, because of NEP 2020, it has become 4 years. Integrated, whichever the subject the child wanted to take it. And along with that, they will be having opportunity of become professors as well as teachers. Before we used to see the doctors on the right, now we can also see that the nation builders are the teachers. That is also we can see on the car, right? The same way. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So it's already offered almost 50 institutions across the nation from 2022. They have already opted that integrated teacher education program. It's a wonderful way, and it has been emphasized curtailing dropouts and ensuring universal access to education to all levels, making provisions for education all wherever they are and whichever the subjects which they wanted, they can opt it. So it's a wonderful program has been opted. So now we need not to be worried about that we are drought with the English teacher, social science teachers, nursery teachers. So definitely next upcoming days, we can see some sunshine in our schools. Thank you all.
Wonderful. That's very, very hopeful. My last question would be, ma'am, I think has already answered the question, what more should we be doing in B.Ed? So, yes.
You know, teaching how to teach content is something that is, I think, existent. But in a classroom, a teacher is not just a teacher. Today, the teacher is a mentor. I think one of the panelists previously spoke about it. So the larger focus should be on how does a teacher identify a child's need? How does a teacher create programs or plans within the classroom to engage the children in activities which is experiential? A teacher's thought should be far beyond, catering to the child's individual needs. So that is the kind of training that we need to give the teacher. Building a teacher's attitude for change. You're going to be changing on a minute-to-minute, by child to child in a classroom, year to year. You can't have a standard lesson plan anymore. You have to have that kind of mindset, the ability to stand on your feet and think. And that, I think, has to be a very critical part of what the B.Ed program is. I'm not sure how much NEP promises to be very, possibly bringing about a whole lot of change, but I think it requires a lot of deep thinking. What really happens in the classroom today is what they have to bring into the B.Ed programs. I'm hoping that, teacher educators like them really think through it and make sure that that comes in so that, the teachers are dynamic, right? And not just stifled by those plans that they are set to deliver.
I agree, and in fact, in today's world where, So in today's world, when our student is more informed and more informed than the teachers, I would say. So it's very important for teachers to be up to date. And they need to be dynamic, as she said, and to be able to change and think on their feet, and to be able to change lesson plan minute to minute, class to class, year to year, right? So with that, we come to an, is there anything else any of you would like to add? Maybe I've missed out something? Yes.
I wanted to add on this, that when teacher will start think from heart to head, we are thinking head to head. This should go there. For example, when a teacher is explaining a map of India, a simple small child, 5th standard grade, he is coming and asking, ma'am, why there is a Sri Lanka in India's map? That question teacher should have. So when you are teaching something, you should have a perfect knowledge of it. So don't teach from head to head. Start teaching from heart to head. So that will be reaching more, and children will be understanding more, they will be loving more, and they will be involved in lectures, and there will be no chaos in the class. Then will be a happy learning in the classes, which is really needed.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, and
I think
talks
that
about
was,
NEP, same thing, bagless days and all.
I think that was all to say that the students love the teacher, and automatically the love is on the subject.
And happy teachers make happy children.
Yes, definitely,
Yes, on that note, thank you very much.
So
Thank
we
you for
have some
staying
more
back.
awards to be given.
Yes, happy management.
Thank you so
and
much.
happy parents.
Now we call upon Ananta Krishna sir from Smart School. We can have you, sir, to felicitate our moderator, Chanda J. Katuria ma'am. Please come. It was a wonderful insight that you gave us, ma'am. And I've also been struggling from the morning. Shri, SHREE, from north and south, we have a lot of difference. SHRI, THA, TA, I've been reading and, that's how. So yes, now we have Mohammad Azhar, sir. I call upon Ramya Suhas Udupa. Now I call upon Maheshwari Chogle, who's come from Kolhapur. Please join us, ma'am. This is Maheshwari Chogle. Now I call upon 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗲. Yes, please claps, let's it go on. They waited patiently, so, really nice till the end. We need louder claps. Yes, louder claps, please, for the patience they've had till the end. Now we call upon Manjula Veeranna. Call upon Harris Madapalli. Okay. Dr. Malini Mandanna Datta. And we have Shanti Menon. Thank you so much. That was a very insightful session from all of you.